What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cab Show. NFL Week 18, the last week of the regular season. I love it because we're right around the corner from the playoffs. This is great, but we had some crazy news that happened between the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals last weekend, which was kind of crazy. Prayers up for Damar Hamlin. He's in better condition than he was, still in the hospital. Now, this gets interesting now with the playoff seedings, everything that's going to happen. But the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, if they end up meeting in the playoffs, especially in the AFC Championship game, they will be played at a neutral site if both teams win this weekend, which I think for the NFL, I think that's something smart. That's something you have to do because to give one side the home field and the other, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And then obviously Cincinnati in that third seed. But I just look at Buffalo Bills right now and say, hey, look, all the pressure's on Josh Allen. So I think if Josh Allen continues to play, he's been playing and playing smart and not throwing dumb interceptions like we've had seen, I think the Buffalo Bills can run deep. I just think the X factor for the Buffalo Bills is how they do in the red zone, how Josh Allen does in the red zone. Are they going to settle for field goals or are they going to score touchdowns in the red zone? So I think that's huge. But for both teams, even Kansas City, I think they're going to win this weekend. I think Kansas City has one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. So I do not think Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl this year in 2023. I just don't see it because of their defense. They do have weapons on offense. We do know Patrick Mahomes. He brings the magic. He does that. That's what Patrick Mahomes is. That's who he is. But I think overall, looking at the AFC right now, it's kind of wide open in a way. We still haven't seen Lamar in over a month. I think the Baltimore Ravens need Lamar. I don't think he'll be back week 18, the final game of the regular season. But overall, they need him. They absolutely need him. But Kansas City, they're going to Las Vegas. They're playing the Raiders. They're 9-point favorites. I think Patrick Mahomes this year's had a great year. 40 touchdowns, only 12 picks. His favorite target, his boy, Travis Kelce, 1,300 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns. So Kansas City, they can score on anybody. We know that. I just think their defense, is their defense going to hold up? Can they stop it? Can they stop the run? Can they stop that smash mouth football late in the playoffs, running deep in the playoffs? So that's going to be a big question mark for Kansas City. But as far as this game goes, I'm going to go Kansas City. I think, Kansas City, even at 9, I'll do that right now. Even though the Las Vegas Raiders only lost to the 49ers last week by 3, I get all that. I still like Kansas City. This is the last game. This is the game to where, all right, let's get our jitters out. Like the playoffs are right around the corner. This is all of us, right now. And as far as the Raiders go, I think they kind of gave up on Derek Carr, which I do think is a mistake. Derek Carr this year has been inconsistent in a way, but 24 touchdowns, 14 picks. I just think overall the McDaniels there, just the whole organization of the Raiders right now is kind of just iffy to me. It's really questionable. I just don't know. They have the talent. We know that. They have Josh Jacobs. He's a great running back. 1,608 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in the league. 1,443 yards receiving and 14 touchdowns. So the talent's there for the Raiders, but it's like, how? How did you guys miss the playoffs this year? What went wrong? And I think it is mainly the defense. I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders defense is terrible this year. It's absolutely terrible. We saw some games they lost this year, so I think that really hit them in the butt. It really did, So I'm going Kansas City here. And like I said, if Kansas City plays Buffalo, they'll play at a neutral site in the playoffs, which is great. 52.5 is the over-under. I'll probably lean more towards the over here. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Kansas City, the Raiders, I could see scoring some touchdowns, so I like the over in this matchup, but I like Kansas City, man. I really do. I mean, even the safer bet would be money line Kansas City. You're not getting enough goods for your money, but overall, I'm going Kansas City, man. Patrick Mahomes right around the playoffs. They can run deep, and they can run it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I just think their defense is a big question mark, but I'm going to go Kansas City over the Las Vegas Raiders. And then we got the Tennessee Titans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville 6.5-point favorites. I'm going Jacksonville here. They win. They are in the playoffs, which is pretty crazy. We go back to week 8. They are 2-8 at week 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now all of a sudden, they're one win away from the playoffs. And this starts with Trevor Lawrence, man. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. He's a dog. Man, he's been balling all year. 24 touchdowns, 8 picks. Crazy, right? And head coach Doug Peterson, he won a Super Bowl in Philly against the New England Patriots in the GOAT, Tom Brady. We remember that with Nick Foles. Pretty crazy, right? So I think the experience is there, with Coach Doug Peterson. But I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence and saying, dude, what strive, what greatness, what improvement over the last year that Trevor Lawrence has made. It's amazing to me. And then ETN, 1,108 yards rushing. He's been balling out, 5 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, over 1,000 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. And then they got Zay Jones. They got a lot of talent, man. And Jacksonville is a low-key team. Now, do I think they're going to run deep in the playoffs this year in the AFC? No, I don't. But, hey, this is a huge step for Jacksonville to get in the playoffs this year, starting 2-6. Like, dude, this is awesome, man. We gotta give homage to Jacksonville, man. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. Shout out to Coach Peterson, man. It's coming, man. I'm going Jacksonville. I'll take the 6.5. I just don't see it, man. The Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill's on the IR with the ankle injury. Derrick Henry's probably out, even though Derrick Henry's a beast. About over 1,400 yards rushing and 13 touchdowns. That's typical Derrick Henry. But I just think I wish Derrick Henry was on another team, a better team. But I'm going Jacksonville, man. They are 1 win away at home. This is it. They win there in the playoffs, man. Shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm rooting for them. So I'll take the 6.5. 40 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the over, but I definitely like the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Tennessee Titans. And then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. The Bucs are in the playoffs. Atlanta's 4-point favorites. It makes sense, but they do. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they need as many reps as they can get with Tom Brady and Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all those guys. I mean, they've been out of sync and really inconsistent all year. I mean, yes, they looked nice last week, but if Tampa Bay wants to go to the Super Bowl like they did in 2020 and win it, they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to. The chemistry's going to have to get better. The timing's going to have to get better. The offensive line's going to have to get better for Tampa. So I'm looking at the GOAT and saying, what is going to happen? What's going to be different for next week in the playoffs? What's going to be different with Tampa Bay? But, Tampa, Tom Brady, 24 touchdowns, 9 picks. And then it's really his favorite target, Mike Evans, 1,124 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, 968 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. Then you got Fournette, 668 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Rachaad White, 466 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. So I think Tampa, they got the talent, absolutely, but they need as many reps as they can get because come playoff time, which is next week, what's going to change for Tampa? Because right now they're very inconsistent, and I'm looking at them and saying, what is going to happen, dude? I just don't see it right now with Tampa unless Tom Brady's going to flip the script, which we've seen it in the past, and just really have that light switch. It's just on and off, like, all right, let's go. We're on here. We could put up 30-plus on any team in the NFL right now. And I think that's the mindset for Tampa. Now, their defense is going to have to step up as well and become that, playoff caliber defense, hold teams in the red zone to field goals and not touchdowns. And I think Tampa Bay could be a dark horse team. They really can. Because you got the go in Tom Brady, okay? He can have that light switch. He can flip it off. I mean, he's got the targets. So I think this is really a tune-up game for Tampa. I'm going to go Tampa even though they're underdogs and they don't need to win this game. Atlanta, they're out. They're 6-10 this year. They're terrible. I just think right now with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they can hit that light switch with the GOAT, Tom Brady. This could be Tom Brady's last year in the NFL. What a career. 7 Super Bowl championships, going for his 8th right now. Pretty crazy, and he has a shot to win his 8th. He's in the playoffs. That's all that matters. So Tampa Bay, I'm going Tampa Bay all day in this matchup. 40 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the under, but I definitely like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Atlanta Falcons in a close one, but I like the Bucs. And then we got the Houston Texans versus my Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are 2.5-point favorites. Both teams get a top 5 pick. I think the Houston Texans get a number 1 pick. I'm looking at the Indianapolis Colts and saying, please lose this game. Okay, I want to get a number 4 overall or maybe even a 3. It's just the Colts right now. We're trash, man. We got Matt Ryan, who was trash. Carson Wentz was trash. Little did we know Andrew Luck didn't pan out. We can make excuses and say, our offensive line was terrible. But at the end of the day, Andrew Luck was a bust. Okay, and then we had Phillip Rivers. He was a bust. Just ever since we let one of the GOATs, Peyton Manning, go, it was just like, hey, we're gonna do great things without Peyton. Little did we know we haven't done shit without Peyton Manning. So I mean, the reality's here for the Indianapolis Colts. We gotta draft the quarterback no matter what. I don't care if we need an offensive lineman or receiver, our first pick. We have to go quarterback. That's just it, dude. And if we don't go quarterback, Jim Irsay, the Billhead, he should sell the organization, dude. Sell it to former players like Peyton Manning. So definitely a reroute. But I'm going to go Texans, man. I want the Texans to win because I want the Colts to get a better pick. So tank Colts. And I do think the Colts should keep Coach Jeff Saturday for one more year. You just don't give up on him. A lot of people, dude, want to say this and that about Coach Jeff Saturday. At the end of the day, the Colts set him up for failure. They set him up to fail, dude. They set him up. It's like they cheated for him to fail. It's like, dude, you got to give him another year. You got to. Let's see how this draft goes. So, the Colts, I hope you guys lose. Please, just do it, okay, so we can get a better pick. So, go Houston Texans. And then we got the New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 7-point favorites. I'm glad Damar Hamlin's in better shape. The safety that got hurt last weekend, I think he has a rare disease. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out in the developing weeks. Thank God he's still alive. But Josh Allen, man, like I said, he's the X factor for the Buffalo Bills moving forward this playoffs. 32 touchdowns, 13 picks. He has 7 rushing touchdowns. And then his favorite target, Stephon Diggs. 1,325 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns. And then running back Devin Singletary's been balling out, 5 touchdowns, almost 800 yards rushing. Dawson Knox, his favorite really tight end target, over 500 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. I mean, the Bills, I like the Bills here. They're playing at home. They're playing the Patriots. The Patriots need to win in to get in the playoffs. So all the pressure's on the Patriots. Now, with Coach Bill Belichick, I do think he'd come up with a great game plan. But overall, the talent and the skill level is just not on Buffalo Bills right now. They're just not. Josh Allen is a dog. They have too many right now. And I think for the Patriots, man, their defense is, I don't see it, man. I really don't see it. And then Mac Jones, 11 touchdowns, 8 picks. He's an okay quarterback, but he's not that quarterback to win you a Super Bowl. He's just not, man. Mac Jones is not the guy. Stevenson, 986 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. 42.5 is the over-under. I probably go with the under a little bit. I think the Patriots are not going to put up a lot of points, but I like Buffalo in this, dude. You're playing at home. You need to win this game. If you want to, tie with Kansas City for that number 1, I don't know who's going to get the bye. That's going to be interesting, but for as far as home field goes, if Kansas City and Bills match up, like I said, a neutral site, but overall, man, the Bills need this game. Beat New England again. You guys are the better team. And Josh Allen, you're one game away from the playoffs here. And the Buffalo Bills should feel good coming in. As preseason favorites to win the Super Bowl. Now, all of a sudden, right now in 2023, the last week of the regular season, dude, this is it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what you guys live for. You're right around the corner, so I think we're going to see the fire. We're going to see the passion with the Buffalo Bills against the New England Patriots. I can't wait. I'm going Buffalo. Josh Allen's going to take off. Go Buffalo Bills, and especially to help their boy Damar Hamlin. So Buffalo all day in this matchup. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. Minnesota 7.5-point favorites. Minnesota's had a crazy season this year. We go back from the 33-point deficit, then coming back against my Indianapolis Colts against all odds. They win that game. They won so many games with one possession, dude. It's been crazy. They've been battle tested. I'm going Minnesota. Why? Because Chicago Bears, they're without Justin Fields because of the medical staff. Wanted him to sit, and I think that's a smart decision because right now, the Chicago Bears, you guys are not going to make the playoffs, so why risk it? Why risk, this young man's health for one game that doesn't mean anything for you guys? So I think that's a great, smart decision to rest Justin Fields. But as far as Minnesota goes, you guys are in the playoffs. This is a game, and I think they need to win this game. Justin Jefferson, 1,771 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, 1,136 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. And then you got Kirk Cousins, really been inconsistent some games, 28 touchdowns, 14 picks. I think Minnesota, they are another team that could really scare people in the playoffs. That could be like, oh, crap, like they can score on anybody. My thing is with Minnesota is their defense. They've given up 26 points allowed per game. 26, that's a lot. So I think if Minnesota wants to run deep in this year's playoffs, it starts with their defense. They're going to have to step up. It can't be all their offense only. So their defense is going to have to step up in different ways, put pressure on the quarterback. But I like Minnesota here over the Chicago Bears. I'll take the 7.5. Minnesota's in. So shout out to the Minnesota Vikings. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams are in the playoffs. The Bengals are 7-point favorites. I'm going to go Bengals at home. Why? Because, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is likely out again with that knee injury. Look, for as far as Baltimore goes, they need Lamar next week. Okay? So that's all that matters. Okay? Right now, this game is irrelevant. Both teams are in the playoffs. So as far as Ravens go and Coach John Harbaugh, he needs Lamar back. Okay? I assume he's talking to Lamar already, saying, look, we need you next week. Okay? The playoffs are right here. So I'm praying that Lamar's back because without Lamar, the Baltimore Ravens are nobodies. They are, dude. They're not going to run deep in the playoffs. They're not going to win a playoff game without Lamar. So they need Lamar so bad. And they really added some tools. Gus Edwards, 3 touchdowns this year, over 400 yards rushing. J.K. Dobbins, 520 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. So the Ravens, they added a couple pieces, okay? But I think overall you need Lamar back. Are we going to see Lamar? I don't think so this game. I probably wouldn't play Lamar either. Why risk it, dude? This game doesn't mean anything. You're already in the playoffs. So you already clinched both teams. So for the Bengals and Joe Burrow, man, he's the dog. 34 touchdowns, 12 picks this year. Joe Mixon, 787 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. He's been balling out. Then you have T. Higgins, over 1,000 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 960 yards of receiving and 8 touchdowns. I mean, dude, the Bengals, they could very well go back-to-back to Super Bowls right here. Not back-to-back winners, but back-to-back appearances here and really try to win this thing. So I think the Cincinnati Bengals are another dark horse team. I just think this year in the NFL playoffs, it's so wide open. There's so many coin flip games. It's going to be interesting, but I'm going to go Bengals in this matchup because without Lamar, it's going to be tough for the Ravens to win. 40.5 is the over-under. I'd probably lean more towards the under, but I definitely like the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to score 28 plus right here with Joe Burrow at home, last game of the regular season. So I'm going to go Cincinnati Bengals over the Baltimore Ravens. I'll take the 7 points, take off Joe Burrow. And then we got the New York Jets versus the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins would have collapsed. They're 2-point favorites, but they're on a 5-game losing streak. They still have a chance, an outside chance to make the playoffs. But, I mean, dude, Tua's out. He's hurt again. It's sad, man. It really is. I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins and saying, what went wrong, dude? 5 losses in a row at the end of the season. It's sad, man. It is really sad. It's just, I don't know, man. It's one of those question marks where it's like, how? But you know what? I have faith in Miami, have faith in the head coach, so I'm going to go Miami here. I'm going to go Miami, and then you got the Jets where it's like, who are we starting here? Mike White or Zach Wilson? Who's it going to be? I just think for both quarterbacks, they're young, they're inexperienced, so it doesn't matter for the Jets. They're out, but Garrett Wilson, what a fantasy scoop up, over 1,000 yards receiving this year and 4 touchdowns for the Jets. I mean, he's a baller. But for Miami, man, it's just like, man, they got the talent, but it's just Tua kind of unfolded, man. He's been hurt, banged up all year. I don't know the long-term thing with Tua. I really don't. What's going to happen, man? They're starting a rookie quarterback. I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with Miami, but I'm going to go Miami. Tyreek Hill, 1,687 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. 38.5 is the over and under. I'm going to go under here. I'm going to go under 38.5. I don't see this game being high scoring. I don't know. I could be way wrong. I just think this game really, I don't see, even if Miami wins and gets lucky, has some teams that lost and gets in the playoffs, I don't see them running deep anyway in the playoffs. So I think both these teams are going to be out, but I'll go Miami at home because they're playing at home, so I'll take Miami Dolphins over the trash New York Jets. And then we got the Carolina Panthers versus the New Orleans Saints. Both teams are out, but this is a relevant game, but the Saints are 3.5-point favorites. You know what? I'll probably go Saints here. I'm not going to bet on this game because it doesn't mean anything. You got Andy Dalton this year, 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. Chris Olave, 982 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. And then, but Carolina, Sam Darnold, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. DJ Moore, 878 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. He's been balling out, man. He's been probably their best offensive threat on Carolina. And then you got Dante Foreman, 846 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. But the recipe is that Carolina can't beat the New Orleans Saints. But like I said, this game really doesn't mean anything. So you guys just pick whoever. Don't put any bread on this game because, like I said, both teams are out of the playoffs. But I'll go Saints because they're at home. Even though I think Carolina's probably going to win this game. They have better skill players. So I'm going to go, with the upset here in Carolina Panthers. Even though I said the Saints, but I'm going to go Carolina Panthers over the New Orleans Saints. And then we got the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Browns are out. We know that. But the Pittsburgh Steelers still have a chance to make the playoffs. I'm going to go Pittsburgh at home. No way they're losing to the Cleveland Browns the last game of the regular season with Mike Tomlin and to have a chance to make the playoffs. And the way the games ended the last couple weeks for the Pittsburgh Steelers have been amazing. We got to give a shout out to Kenny Pickett. He's been stepping up when he needs to. His stats don't say that, but I'm telling you, he's a gamer. 6 touchdowns, 9 picks. Najee Harris, 954 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. And what's crazy is Pittsburgh started 2-6 this year. 2-6. It's crazy, man. This is not the only team to start 2-6. We know the Jacksonville Jaguars have done it. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, I'm going Pittsburgh. At home, this is a playoff-type game. You need to win this game to even make the playoffs, to have a chance to make the playoffs. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh Steelers over the trash Cleveland Browns. Even though Deshaun Watson did have his best game last weekend against the Washington Commanders with 3 touchdowns, but I don't see it. Nick Chubb, 1,448 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. Like I said, Nick Chubb, one of the pound-for-pound best running backs for fantasy-wise, 100%. Amari Cooper, 1,109 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. I mean, they got talent. The Cleveland Browns have something going. They had Deshaun Watson, which I do believe in him. I think he did get too many handies back in the day, with the massage therapist, whatever. But I'm going Pittsburgh Steelers here. I'm going Pittsburgh. Why? Because they're playing at home and they're playing for something. They're playing for a playoff spot, and Coach Mike Tomlin's going to have them ready. So no way in heck I'm betting against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home in this playoff atmosphere. So I'm going Pittsburgh Steelers over the Cleveland Browns. 40.5 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the under, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have a shot, man. After starting their season 2-6, man. Man, shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. I'm going Pittsburgh over the Cleveland Browns. And then we got the LA Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. We know Denver Broncos, they are out this year. It's been a disappointing season, especially for Russell Wilson. 13 touchdowns, 10 picks this year. I just did not see it coming. Jerry Jeudy, 818 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. He's questionable with an ankle injury. But for the Chargers, they're already in the playoffs. I do think they're going to start Justin Fields, which I think they should at least play in the first half. You need as many reps as you can. You really do. I understand that football is a violent sport, but I think overall you need to play him. He could sit, though. Austin Eckler, 881 yards rushing and 13 touchdowns. Mike Williams, 863 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. Now, do I see the Chargers running deep in the AFC playoffs? No. I see the Chargers losing the first game of the playoffs. That's what I do see them. But, I think they're going to win this game, so I'll take the Chargers. Even though, like I said, it's irrelevant for both teams. The Chargers are already in. The Broncos are trash this year. And I'm looking at the Broncos' future and saying, is Russell Wilson going to be your guy? I mean, dude, this past year, it's been a disaster. Russell Wilson's had a terrible year this year, and I'm looking and saying, how? How did you have such a bad year? What went wrong here? So I'm going to go LA Chargers over the trash Denver Broncos. And then we got the Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly's 14-point favorites. I'm going to go Philly, but I'm going to go money line here, Philly. I think that's too much. Philly, if they win, they get a first-round bye in the playoffs. This is huge for Philly. They got to win, man. They got to win this game. Is Jalen Hurts going to be playing? I don't know. It's questionable right now with that right shoulder strain. I mean, if I'm the head coach, do I play Justin Fields? If he's not 100%, no, I don't play him. I take that risk of losing a first round bye. I really do. I'm taking that risk. But I just think his health is more important right now. So Jalen Hurts, I'd probably sit him. Who knows? I do think he could possibly play. Without his injury, he had 22 touchdowns, 5 picks. Miles Sanders had a great season this year, over 1,200 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, over 1,400 yards receiving and 11 touchdowns. So Philly's there, man. Philly's there, and I think they want to win this game because, like I said, they get a first-round bye. That is huge. A first-round bye in the playoffs and home field advantage. I mean, for Philly, there's a lot at stake here. But the Giants, they could definitely upset the Philadelphia Eagles right here. And it starts with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks this year. Saquon, 1,312 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. So I think the Giants could definitely upset them, but I'm going Philly here. I think Philly right now, they need one win, dude. They needed one win for the past 3 or 4 weeks, and they need this win really bad for a first-round bye. So I'm going to go Philly here. The Giants, man, I don't know. Big question mark, but I'm going Philly money line over the New York Giants. 43 is the over-under. That's tricky. I don't know this line. It's so iffy. If Jalen Hurts plays, I'll go with the over. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play, I'm going to go with the under. But I'm definitely going Philly money line all day over the New York Giants. And then we got the Arizona Cardinals versus the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are 14-point favorites. Look, 49ers are the hottest team in the NFL. They're on a 9-game winning streak. They haven't lost in so long right now. And shout out to Brock Purdy. This kid's a gamer. 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. McCaffrey, over 700 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. Then you got George Kittle, you got Brandon. There's so many assets, so much good things that are going on in San Francisco right now. And not to mention their legit defense. They stop the run. They're great against the pass. They put pressure on the quarterback. So right now, the 49ers, obviously I'm going to go 49ers. I'll take the 14 points. Arizona, their quarterback list right now, it's a shame, really. It really is. But 49ers, they're going to have 10 wins in a row, dude, if they win this game, which I do think they're going to beat Arizona. Arizona's trash this year. But I'm telling you what, 49ers are another team in the NFC where it's like, oh, my gosh, dude. They can run deep. They can run deep. I see a beating Green Bay if Green Bay makes it this year. So I think the San Francisco 49ers are one of them teams that could very well make the Super Bowl this year. They have a legit defense, and their offense is such a threat. You got McCaffrey, you got George Kittle, you got Debo that's going to be coming back. I mean, so many playmakers on San Francisco right now. I mean, the best team they've had in a long time, even since Kaepernick back in like 2012. I think they're better than them right now. So I love the San Francisco 49ers. In Arizona, J.J. Watt's last game of his career. What a career, J.J. Watt. I mean, he's such an impact, one of the best defensive players we've ever seen this game, and he's came in the league on fire since 2011. So Hall of Fame career. Shout out to J.J. Watt. That's going to be it for him. But I'm going San Francisco 49ers. I'll take the 14 points. I think they're going to win fair and square here. 40.5 is the over-under. I probably like the over, but I definitely like San Francisco to beat the trash Arizona Cardinals. And shout out to J.J. Watt. What a career. And then we got the L.A. Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are 6-point favorites. They're playing at home. They still have an outside chance to make the playoffs. I mean, we know the L.A. Rams, they're done. Now, could they beat them? Absolutely. I mean, you got Baker Mayfield, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. Cam Akers been playing well the last month, 7 touchdowns, about 700 yards rushing. And then you got Bobby Wagner on the L.A. Rams saying, hey, you know, I was with Seattle for so long, and they kind of gave up on me. They gave up on him, and that's his attitude. So I think the L.A. Rams could very well upset the Seattle Seahawks here. I really do. But I think for Geno Smith, he's got to have his best game right here. He's got to, man. You got 29 touchdowns, 9 picks this year. The run game's doing great with Kenneth Walker. 936 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. He's questionable with an ankle injury. DK Metcalf over 1,000 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. I think Seattle has a better team, but you know what? I'm going to go Rams with the upset here. I think Seattle's going to get upset the last game of the regular season, and Pete Carroll's going to be upset. But I think the Seattle Seahawks, they definitely need to go for a quarterback. I don't think Geno Smith is a long-term quarterback there to win a Super Bowl. I just don't. But I like the L.A. Rams with the upset with Baker, and I think Bobby Wagner and the defense is going to be ready to hit Seattle. So I'm going to go L.A. Rams over Seattle. 41.5 is the over-under. Probably go with the over. I think they're going to score a lot of points here. I like the Rams with the upset, though. And then we got the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Commanders. The Cowboys are 7-point favorites. The Cowboys are already in the playoffs. My thing is that gonna win you guys the Super Bowl? That's the question. I mean, that's what everybody wanted to know. We know what happened last year against San Francisco in the playoffs. You guys choked yet again. Is it just gonna be the same story for the Dallas Cowboys? I don't know. I think it is. Dak Prescott this year, 22 touchdowns, 14 picks. Tony Pollard, 988 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. You have that duo back with Zeke. Zeke, 866 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. And then I think the X factor is definitely CeeDee Lamb. Over 1,300 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. I think the Cowboys, they always have the talent. Year in and year out, they have a legit defense this year with Parsons. They have a lot of stuff going on with the Dallas Cowboys. My thing is, can they get over the hump? Can they win a big playoff game? Can they win in bad circumstances? Can they win against adversity? That's a huge question mark for me for Dallas. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but the Washington Commanders, they're starting a rookie quarterback, Sam Howell. He's from North Carolina. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Brian Robinson Jr., almost 800 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for Washington. And then Terry McLaurin, 1,117 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. I mean, Washington, they can win this game, but I'm going to go Cowboys. They're going into Washington. I say play Dak. I mean, you need as many reps as you can. You know, you got Dalton Schultz as well. There's a lot of weapons on the Cowboys, both offense and defensively. My thing is, can they get over the hump in the playoffs? That's what's going to matter to me. Okay, this game kind of relevant to me. But, you know, I'll go Cowboys. I think the Cowboys need to win this game. I think Dak Prescott needs to prove to me that he can win a Super Bowl in Dallas. Because if not, then what? You know, what's the excuse going to be for Dallas this year? Please, yeah, make sure you guys come up with a couple good ones, please. But I'm going to go Cowboys. 41 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over, but, you know, the Cowboys, I just think it's going to end the same way as a choke. But I'm going to go Cowboys in this game. And then we got the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay's 4.5-point favorites. Green Bay needs to win this game. Also, the Detroit Lions need to win this game as well and get some luck and have Seattle lose. But it's going to be a long shot for the Detroit Lions. I'm not going to lie. What I've seen in the past month with Green Bay has been pretty cool, right? I mean, they've got fortunate. I mean, even in Miami, when Tua was just throwing to them for fun, it's just like, really, dude? Like, I don't see it. Even if the Green Bay Packers do make the playoffs, which I think they will, they're probably going to lose the first game. I mean, yes, you got Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks the game has ever seen. 25 touchdowns, 11 picks. Then you got Aaron Jones, over 1,000 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Allen Lazard, 747 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. I mean, the talent's there. So I'm going to go Green Bay and Lambeau Field now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Detroit Lions upset them here. I mean, the Detroit, they're playing for something. They're playing for a playoff spot. They still need some help. But Jared Goff this year has been balling out. 29 touchdowns, 7 picks this year. Jamal Williams, I mean, he's been balling out, 15 touchdowns, over 900 yards rushing. And then you got St. Brown, 1,112 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. Like I said, they need some help. I just think if Green Bay's just going to roll over to the Detroit Lions, they're in for one. Because that's not what's going to happen, dude. The Detroit Lions are legit this year. They're very a threat to anybody. But you know what? In Lambeau Field with Aaron Rodgers, one game to win, dude, to make the playoffs. I mean, dude, at week 12, we were just counting them out. I even said I don't think Green Bay's going to make the playoffs. And they proved me wrong. But, you know, are they going to prove me wrong in the playoffs? Probably not. They're probably going to end the season just like the Dallas Cowboys, you know, in a choke game or in a game where they blame the special teams or blame the defense and not Aaron Rodgers. It's just like, dude, you guys are going to have to come up with something. And I think Green Bay, yes, you're coming on at the right time. My thing is, can you run deep in the playoffs? That's a huge question mark, but worry about this game in Week 18. I'm going to go Green Bay at home. I'll take the 4.5. 49 is the over-under. I probably lean more towards the under in Lambeau Field in the cold. But overall, I'm going to go Green Bay. Green Bay, you're in the playoffs with the win, so it's going to be interesting. We could see Green Bay versus the Cowboys in the playoffs. Wow. I mean, Green Bay could definitely beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see, but this is it, man. The last week of the regular season, I love it, man. I love the NFL. I love the playoffs. I mean, the playoffs are just a different game, a different atmosphere. They play differently. They hit harder. They try harder. So I cannot wait, man. There's definitely going to be some upset games, but my lock pick, man, I want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers win for Coach Mike Tomlin. I just want to see it happen, and I also want to see the Jacksonville Jaguars get in, man. Jacksonville, man, who would have thought after 2-6 starting, it's going to be interesting, but, you know, the AFC's wide open right now. Same thing with the NFC. I cannot wait. It's the NFL, baby. It's the Clown with Cow show. Let's go!